I'm not intentionally waiting until the camera starts to light my candle. Um, but I... But I am lighting my candle now because I didn't before the start of the video. And, I wonder, this is a different match than this, and I'm wondering if this won't light on this. And if that's the case, then that is really, 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 really annoying, because that means that I have to get the same matches from these people that I bought this thing from. Oh, that's really annoying. I might have to look into that. Anyway, I am going to keep doing this, even though this is recording. This is the first time I'm filming a video like this while my significant other is home. Do you want to say hi? And that's interesting. It like adds another element to this thing, which is very specific for me. But yeah, I just went for my morning walk, and I really think that the formula of this working for me is the walk and then having this video, because it's like sometimes I really enjoy and appreciate the walk and it's fulfilling and all the things, and sometimes I really don't want to do it and I really don't want to be there, and it's like my internal monologue is really loud and frustrating, and it's nice to have this to think of doing, because it sort of like centers my thoughts and gets some creativity going. I saw a bird watcher on my walk, and I was kind of jealous, and I sort of wanted to, like, I don't know, ask him if there are any bird watching groups. Bird watching is one of those things that's like, I feel like is probably a lot more fun than people give it credit for. The park always smells like weed. It just always smells like weed. And I was sort of like I was like, did he just smoke a bunch of weed and is now bird watching? I feel like that's a move. That feels like a big, big Saturday move. It's Saturday today. I didn't bring any music or podcast or anything with me on my walk. I just had my thoughts and the sounds, and I did like bird listening, I would say. And there's something, I like walks in the winter and I like walks in the fall, but especially in the winter because there's a lot more sounds and there's a lot more to kind of like think about. So you have the sound of ice and snow and the different textures, and yeah, I really like that distance and kind of just like the different things to think about. And yeah. I also have big plans for all the different, oh yeah, the last video I made, I did like a whole brain dump of like takeaways, stuff I wanted to do, but I feel like I have less of that. And part of that is that I feel pretty like grounded and centered in what I want to be focusing in on, and trying to stay more directed with my projects and ventures, and also having my person to kind of keep me accountable. So I did a bunch of that yesterday. I actually I abandoned my walk early, and I didn't make this video yesterday because I got some studio time and kind of used that to explore stuff, and that was good. It was hard, but it was good. I feel like a word for myself today has been exhaustion, and I don't feel like I deserve to be exhausted. But I feel kind of like life and emotionally exhausted. There's just something about being in a place of creating all or being in a creative mindset all the time that can really drain me emotionally. And that is the point, because if I don't drain that emotion and if I don't drain the expression, then it kind of like it's going to go somewhere and it's probably not going to be good. And then, yeah, like going and walking and going and working out is a way of kind of like offsetting that too, and that helps, but it is in general exhausting. I also have been like cultivating new relationships and new friendships, and that has been very, very fulfilling, but it also requires like a different kind of attention and a different kind of awareness. So I think there's a little bit of kind of like good exhaustion from that too. So I'm gonna make a cup of tea after this video is done, and I'm gonna appreciate having a cup of tea. I'm saying a lot, but I think that's partly because I don't have a script and I don't have specific things I want to talk about. I really want to see The Brutalist. I made a new friend a few weeks ago, and they were telling me about how great The Brutalist is, and then I was kind of like learning more about it, and it definitely speaks to me and something I would like. So I want to try to see The Brutalist if I can. I'm excited that the Oscars are coming up, although I haven't really been doing much to participate or watch the Oscars. Also, I saw Nosferatu around right when it came out, and now it's streaming, and I just want to watch Nosferatu. There's something about it that feels very Saltburn. And for me, because my big takeaway from Saltburn was this whole concept of art for art's sake, which is kind of what I think I probably was talking about art for art's sake in a video in the past few days. But Saltburn, I loved it, and I loved it because the message was very simple, very, very, very simple, and the rest of it was just beautiful and entertaining and incredible performance. And I feel a little bit like that about Nosferatu, that Nosferatu has a really simple story, it has a simple message, it has pretty straightforward themes, and then it's just the story is really well done. I mean, I love the styling where they didn't do any CGI or any effects, so it's all kind of, I don't know what the word for that is. I forget. There's a specific word, but I don't care. That's really enjoyable to watch. And yeah, I definitely think of art for art's sake, where I think that's almost like a mantra for me right now that's helping me, which is just, beauty for beauty's sake. Oh, this is always really what happens. It's like, it takes almost the whole amount of time that I set for this video to get into, like, warmed up and into what I actually want to talk about. And then it feels like the timer that I've, sort of randomly set goes off. But yeah, I was thinking about drivers on my walk a lot, and like driver analysis, which is something that in my line of work, or especially more when I was in kind of research and product research and market research, that was a huge, that's still a big part of my work now, but it's not as much. And that was a huge part of different studies we would do, is driver analysis. So why does someone buy a product? What is the driver behind buying a product, or a driver behind not buying it, or a driver behind buying this and not that, or doing this and not that? And I think it's interesting as I kind of like progress in my career and think about people I work with. I was thinking about people I work with specifically, but I guess you could think of it in a lot of different ways. Like, what is it that's driving people? And sometimes it's two, or it's just one, but yeah, what is driving people? I think a hard part of that is that sometimes you might not like what someone else is driven by, and you might have to work with them, or spend significant time with them, knowing that your drivers are not aligned. And I think a driver is more powerful than when we talk about values, because values are kind of a softer way of talking of, or just softer in general. Everyone is going to say as a value, I love my family. I love, family, creativity, whatever. Like that is, your values are different because your values might not be what's actually driving you. Your drivers are what is actually behind what you're doing and behind your action. So you might have someone who feels like their values um are all I can't really think of words today. The word I'm thinking of, righteous, like righteous values, but they're actually not being necessarily driven by those values. I think a lot more people are driven by power than we want to admit, especially people in power. They were driven to just be in power, and then they have power, and that continues to be their driver, is maintaining power or accessing more. And that's upsetting. No one wants to think that a person in a position of power is driven by just wanting to have power. But I think that happens more often than not. I also think money as a driver is very upsetting a lot of the time. The idea that money alone would be someone's driver for doing what they're doing can be, is an upsetting realization. But I think a lot of people are driven simply by money. And if you're someone who's more of like an idealist, it's hard to work with people who are focused around that. Although honestly, the whole money piece might be something that more people are driven by than you would think. So I guess those are negative drivers to think of. But yeah, there's a lot of other types of drivers that come to mind that fuel and motivate the choices that we make in life and the walks that we take in life and what we do. And I guess maybe knitting some of these ideas together is the whole concept of art for art's sake is like, what is the driver there? I think that there is more to unpack there for myself about what has kind of motivated me creatively and in my academics and whatnot, is kind of like this idea of almost like forfeiting any sort of, like, how do we experience nothingness almost, or just beingness? So yeah, how to just make the driver being, which is not a driver. Maybe I'll title this Being in Nothingness, which I think was that Sartre? I think it was Sartre who wrote that. And I read very little but talked about it a lot, which is kind of fitting for me. Oops, it's a lot over time. But yeah, beingness as a driver. I like it. If you have watched this, thank you. And I hope you have a great day.